today because this is my favorite topic in the whole world. I think that the first step to success is mastering your mindset. And everything that the elite coaches have already said today, a lot of that's going to be in here, so I feel good about that. I feel like I know what I'm talking about. First things first, I want to share with you guys a little bit about myself, because you're probably like, who is this girl? My name's Colleen Eddy. I'm 29 years old. I've been a coach for 19 months, actually today, and I live in Northern California in Lake Tahoe. I was born and raised in Massachusetts, near the Boston area. I grew up an amazing life. I didn't have any childhood hardships or anything like that. Went to great schools, loved my family. I went to college in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I got a degree in graphic design. I soon realized that it was more of a hobby than a career for me. And like most people, I was a waitress in college too. I was offered a job at Verizon Wireless in 2006. Now this was before iPhones and iPads, and so in 2006, if you got that job offer and you were a college kid, like, you were doing good. So I was really excited. I'm actually very passionate about technology, and I excelled very quickly with that job. I went from customer service to sales, right into management, and at the age of 23, I was managing one of the biggest stores in New England. So I think back to that, like managing 30 people, 23 years old. All right, cool. I got the itch to travel when I was 23 and 24, and I traveled to the West Coast. I fell in love with California, particularly Northern California. I love Lake Tahoe. If you've never been, everyone go. It's amazing. I still live there. I've lived there for 5.5 years now. But I transferred my job with Verizon Wireless, and when I got there, it wasn't the same. There was something different about that job. And typically when something's corporate, if you go from one store to another, it should be the same. It wasn't. I ended up working for the devil. My manager that I worked for literally was Satan. I've never met someone so cold-blooded, and so if there's anyone here today that works with someone that makes you feel like you're bashing your head against the wall, I totally know how you feel. I hope that's not the case, but I get it. I understand. So I worked with that manager for about a year, and I just kind of went through the motions, but my health deteriorated. I had stomach ulcers to the point I couldn't even eat vegetables. I couldn't eat really anything. And I was dating a man, who's now my fiance, but then boyfriend, and our relationship was a hot mess. I loved him so much, but there was something that was a big disconnect between him and I, and it was positivity. He was born and raised in California, and I call him Mr. Rainbows and Butterflies because literally nothing bothers him. You look at him, and I don't ever think I've ever heard him say, oh, this happened, or I'm stressed about something. He is always chilling. So for him and I was at this miserable job, and then there's Sean. And I knew that he believed so strongly in the power of positivity, I just could not wrap my head around it. I'm going to work every day. One day that manager comes up to me and says, Colleen, I have this great opportunity for you to move to this other store, which made me really excited because I was dying to get out of that store working with her. And she said, you can transfer to the store in Reno, Nevada, and I had to leave my apartment. I took everything I owned and moved up to the Reno store. They needed my help. When I got to that store, I actually did bring that store up to one of the top in the district from the bottom. So I was pumped. I was doing what I was asked to do. I come to work one day and I'm handed a white envelope, and in that white envelope was my severance package. Like that, my job was gone. They closed the store that I was working in. My career of 6 years was gone, and I had all my eggs in one basket. So talk about the rug being ripped out from underneath you. The really sad part is that that manager knew the store was closing. Yeah, I usually get that reaction when I tell people that. So, it honestly was a blessing in disguise. I called my dad, and he said, I was crying hysterically, freaking out. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was 3,000 miles away from my family. And he said, I think that was honestly a blessing in disguise. So I took the next 1.5 years to try and stand back up on my own 2 feet, and that was my chance to mend things with Sean in our relationship. So, scrolling on Facebook one day, and I come across, actually Elizabeth Harkey, who was the cute brunette that did the video today. That's actually my upline. I'm originally from the East Coast, that's where she lives in Boston. She posted a picture of her standing in front of the Disneyland castle on a Beachbody Success Club trip. I had no idea that it was a Beachbody trip, but in that picture, it showed that she was happy, healthy, and glowing. And that is all I wanted. She was standing there with her fiance holding a cup of Starbucks, and there's just something about that, like, yeah, we just went and got coffee this morning, and with my man, we're chilling in Disneyland. And I was just straight up miserable. So I saw this picture, and I knew that I wanted exactly what she had. I didn't even know what she was doing, but I just wanted it. So if you're a coach here today, and you're not sharing your journey, you're being very selfish. I'm sorry to say it, but our job in our job description is to help others. So because she shared one photo, I stand up here today. A little even funnier backstory is I actually bought a challenge pack, Turbo Fire, Chocolate Shakeology, and returned it. 6 months later, I come back and I want to coach. So I'm sure she takes me real serious. And she puts me in her second business center, and I hide her over there somewhere. She's probably going to return it anyway. And that day that I signed up, I said, I'm going to own a business. Because someone took my chance away like that I worked so hard for. So it was my chance. I went out and bought a planner. I bought a binder. She actually went on her honeymoon for 3 weeks. There was no getting started right call. I got a welcome email. She came back, and I was Emerald and signed up 14 people. I don't know. I just wanted to help people. So I'll switch right over into how this has anything to do with mastering your mindset. So when I started trying to mend my relationship with Sean, that's when I basically signed up as a coach. And I knew that I looked up to my sponsor. She was very positive. And if you stop and think for a second, how many successful people do you know today that are negative? I don't know any. So everyone has to understand that mastering your mindset really is a secret to success. There's actually a difference between unsuccessful people and successful people. And that one thing is good thinking. So you're probably like, what on earth does that mean? Sometimes I call it skilled thinking. I basically call it thinking about your thinking. So I went about life all the time as just thinking my way. I've always kind of been a strong-minded person, and no, it's my way. And I realized it was basically only hurting my life. So when you sit there, actually I'll give you guys the example first. There's an example of two sisters sitting in a kitchen, and one sister gets a letter in the mail. And she opens it, she starts screaming, so excited, she gets accepted into her graduate program. She worked really hard to get into the school. She knew that she had to go to the graduate program to go to the next step. She sees this as opportunity. I'm so pumped, I'm so excited. Her sister sits there and says, that stinks, you have 4 more years of school and you just graduated. So, again, same exact scenario, 2 different people, perspective. So, when you have an obstacle, when you have a struggle, it's raining today. And yes, I know it rains here all the time, but not so in Tahoe, in California, when it's raining, you're not happy. But, you know, when you're just kind of in that what we call the victim role of, of course I lost my job. Of course this happened to me today. You have to practice good thinking. So I want to make sure that I'm following along here. So when I started coaching, I was very negative Nancy still. Sean used to say to me, you just need to think positive, and positive things will happen. And when you're in a really dark place and someone says that to you, you look at them like, seriously? So here is I'm asking you guys a favor today. Be open-minded. Maybe your plan is not working right now. Maybe you're just like, I don't need to listen to what she has to say. The power of positivity and mastering my mindset, working on it every single day for 8 months straight, changed my life. And that's why I'm so excited to talk about it at any Super Saturday that I go to. Sorry guys, I get excited. So in this business, it is very handy to be prepared and master your mindset. And the reason why is because your best coach might quit. You might miss a goal. You might miss a rank advancement. I actually went from 1-star to Emerald, and I was stuck there for 4 weeks. Sometimes that would make a coach quit. And me, I knew that everything happens for a reason, and it actually pushed me even further. Because I was working on my mindset, because I was reading my personal development, I was okay with what we'll call failing. You know, I didn't necessarily fail, but that was a really hard thing to swallow. 1-star diamond, and I went to the party at Summit, and I'm an Emerald coach now. That was really hard for me. Another example. It's the last day of the month. It's 6 p.m. and you're at Success Club 4. Most people, what would they say? I miss Success Club. Nope. A good thinker and a successful person is going to look at those 6 hours that are left in the day, and they're going to be proactive about it. You have to focus on what you can control. A person that's a negative thinker and that's someone that hasn't mastered their mindset is going to look at that as a struggle and a challenge that they can't overcome. It's not easy, I know. I'm going to tell you guys about the why it's important, and then I'm going to go into the how. So why is a strong mindset so crucial? This is probably my favorite part of this whole speech here. People with a strong mind don't look to others for validation. And how true in this business is that? I'm scared to share my journey. I'm so scared to invite. What if they turn me down? People with a strong mind, best example I know, Miss Amy Silverman, she knows what she wants, she knows where she's going, she doesn't ask for permission, and she goes and gets it. She's read a lot of books, she's been through a lot of experiences, she has a very strong mind. So when people sometimes listen to, I do this call a lot for team calls, and they sometimes are like, but why do I need to have a strong mindset? That's why. You don't need to look for validation for other people. You have to know what you want, you have to know it's okay to want that, and go and get it. So how do I master my mindset, Colleen? You're talking about all this awesome stuff, but how do I do it? Do you guys ever wonder how people do the unthinkable? Olympian people. Do you guys look at these elite coaches and say, with your jaw dropped and say, how am I ever going to do that? I can tell you that there is one thing that they did do, and that they trained their brain, literally. And it's in one mode, and it's forward. They're going to have all these distractions and struggles just like everyone else. Every single person in this room has the same exact struggles. You start at zero. They don't have an advantage. So, I get so excited that I want to go on a tangent and I make my self-discipline, no. The grass is not greener wherever they are, because sometimes that's how people look at it. The grass is greener wherever you water it. So by focusing on your mindset and honestly thinking about your thinking, I know that probably doesn't even make sense, but thinking about your thinking, it's going to help you make your grass greener where you are. I want to give you 5 tips that will help you master your mindset. Number 1, You Are a Badass, that book. Changed my life and changed my business. It's really awesome. This summer, since I'm a graphic designer, sometimes I buy books if they look fancy. And that book just, basically was calling my name when I walked by it. And it was actually like someone kind of threw it back on the shelf. So I didn't know about it, but I was like, all right. I started my team page in July of this summer for 2014. And I wanted to show my team how to be a badass. Like literally in the back of my mind, without even hearing that book title, that's what I wanted. So I picked that book up. I don't even need to really go into the book. Just read the book, like everyone said. Number 2, mastering your mindset is a daily task and effort. Just like our workout is, if I work out 1 day a week, am I gonna get the same results? Absolutely not. Think about it, you're literally rewiring your brain. Everything you think right now, you have to train yourself to think differently. It's not an easy task. All the beliefs and thoughts that you have right now, today, that's actually a learned belief. We're not born to feel or experience a lack of confidence. You're not born that way. That's a learned belief. So the cool thing about that is that you actually can change that. You can rewire your brain if you stop and take a second and realize that you can. Sorry, I was trying to remember your name who just spoke. Sharad? I'm sure when he started, he was just really overwhelmed with that. And Sharad, he had to master his mindset and talk to himself through that every single day. He had to train his brain to say, push play every single day. Thank you, I couldn't remember your name, sorry. Let's say you lack confidence in yourself, like I said. You can change that. Number 3, all the energy that we put into negative worry and stress not only causes stomach ulcers, like it did for me, but it's honestly wasted. Let's, for example, say I was super stressed and worried to come up here today and talk. I could worry and worry and worry and worry, or I can focus on my mindset and think positive things, whether it's positive affirmations, whatever works for you, and talking yourself through it. Reading lots of personal development is going to help. And honestly, I think mastering your mindset, especially in this community, is one of the easiest things because everyone's happy. We're not going to work and working with people that drive us crazy. We're working with some pretty awesome people here. Number 4 is empower yourself. You hear this all the time, I know. So how am I going to do that? You have to start by doing the things that you normally wouldn't do that are outside your comfort zone. I've never actually spoke at a Super Bowl. This is my second Super Saturday, but I volunteered to speak at the one in September in Boston. I've never stood in front of a crowd. I actually thrive off of a challenge now, all because I made that decision. I said, I just want to help people. I'm really scared to stand up there, but I'm going to do it. Maybe you don't want to dive all in with something like that, but you have to start taking baby steps. Just like a program, it's going to be hard to empower yourself. If you're really, really shy and scared and haven't done anything like this, it's going to be hard. Just like a program though, once you commit, and then for example, I'm sure the ladies doing Insanity Max, you look back and you say, you know what? In a way that wasn't too bad. I mean, I know I was dying the first month probably, but you know what? I did it. Number 5. This actually is perfect after his speech. Why can some people lose 100 pounds and some people can't? It's 100% self-limitation. If someone else has done it, so can you. Typically, people just shut down and want to say, I can't. In Jen Sincero's book, she says that all of our fantasies become a reality in an excuse-free world. Excuses, oh, they're tough. So what's holding you back from actually getting what you want? It's a 4-letter word, and it's fear. This is my motto in life. Everything we want is on the other side of fear. Fear literally paralyzes people, especially in this business. When you understand that fear is only an emotion, also known as your mindset, that's why it's so important to focus on it, you're going to see fear in a different way. I can't touch fear. Right now, if I'm really scared, I can't touch it. Is there red tape crossing me off? No. It's just an emotion, also known as your mindset. So remember, everything we want is on the other side of fear. Something else that I learned is basically to surrender. When you just surrender to life and say, life is hard. This business, let's say 2015 is going to be the hardest year in my business in life. When you just say, it's going to be tough, it actually becomes easy. I used to expect life to just flow really easy, so that every single time something hard came up, I was really disappointed. So just surrender and say, all right, let's do this. Do you guys ever look at successful people and wonder how they become more successful? You look at someone and you're just like, hello, give me some of that. I want some of that. Well, whatever vibrations you're putting out in this world is what you're going to get back. So for me, like I said, I was a negative magnet my entire life. Whatever frequency you're operating at is what you're going to get back. If you put in half the effort, you get half that back. If you lack confidence and you're not trying to empower yourself, as a coach, you know the type of coach you're going to attract? A coach that lacks confidence. And in this business, we know that we really need to learn how to empower ourselves through that so that we can help lead our coaches. And then the last thing, failure is usually the biggest fear. Whether it's a coach or challenger, if someone doesn't sign up, I usually ask them, I'm just curious, why haven't you? Other than money, objections, and time and other excuses, it's usually, I'm afraid to fail. Mindy Wender actually replaces the word failure with the word stumble. And if you can remember that, replace the word failure with the word stumble, then when you say stumbling is my biggest fear, it doesn't even sound, it sounds funny, it doesn't even sound right. I want you to know that the only time that you fail is when you quit. That is it. We're actually told in this business, or just in any business, that if you're not failing, you're doing something wrong. You have to fail forward. Failure is only a delay. So in closing, it is our responsibility as people, as coaches, to bring our A game to this world every single day. That's also from the book, You Are a Badass. Could you imagine if every single person in this room woke up every day bringing their A game, regardless of how hard their struggles were, how much more amazing the business would be and life would be. When you take responsibility and say, I am going to bring my A game today and tomorrow and the next day, you're going to see a change. Because if you want to lead your team and your coaches, that's where you have to start, with you. Wake up every day. And I know Jessie, when I was talking with her, she asked me to talk about personal development. So 2 seconds. Personal development is your toolbox. You might read a book today that doesn't really hit home with you, but guess what? You put a tool in your tool belt or toolbox, whatever. A year down the road, when you're talking about leadership and the next step in empowering, you're going to be able to whip out a tool that you from before, and it's going to help you overcome whatever struggles you may have at that time. Books that I always recommend to people are, if you need a little in the face, No Excuses by Brian Tracy. the entire book is about excuses, and he's going to call you out on everything. And I told my team, they get scared because I get these books and I say, I'm going to call you out on all your excuses. And they're like, oh. Life's Golden Ticket by Brendan Burchard. It's a storybook, and it's all about perspective. It's based on a carnival scene. Very vivid. I loved it. Thinking for a Change was actually a lot of what this came from, by John C. Maxwell. And I threw this last one in here while I was sitting down, just because a lot of people don't understand the network marketing business. Rock Your Network Marketing Business by Sarah Robbins. That, for me, I learned a lot. I didn't know anything about it when I signed up. So when you learn to master your mindset, that is when you become an unstoppable force, and you will get out of your own way, and you can do whatever it is you want. So thanks for having me.